Oh,
Wasn't that good? It's one of my top 3 karaoke songs.
no.
Welcome to the Backpack Show, where we pick some of the best karaoke songs you could ever expect.
I don't know. I used to go with Carly Simon, but
Which
if I ever
one?
get back to karaoke again, you're so vain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. But if I
Oh,
ever
that's
get
a
back to
pretty good one.
karaoke again, it'll be a few
Um,
months from now.
a long time ago, 80s pop sensation Debbie Gibson, when she became Deborah Gibson, said that the best song you ever pick for karaoke is the one that has the most words. So she would always pick like raps and things like that. So she did that like 1 week Bare Naked Lady song because there's a lot of words to it. So I always
Oh
pick
yeah,
things like,
I like to pick ridiculous things. Like my friend and I were doing "Walk This Way" with the Run
oh
DMC and
yeah,
Aerosmith version and stuff.
nice,
We have to be ridiculous.
nice.
Chloe's here.
Backpack Show where we discuss karaoke for a whole hour. Let's do it.
We bring you insights into success from unusual places, and we tell you stories of successful people doing all sorts of things, so you can like distill the lessons down and apply them to achieve success in your own life.
General Motors is a good company. All my cars were GM. Thank you. Good to know, Kate.
Saying good morning, we
Oh,
stop it.
what do we have for guests?
Well,
Do we
I'm
have
very
guests today?
excited about today. Yes, today is exciting. So we have Brandon Gilson, who joins us from FB Washburn Candy in Brockton, Massachusetts. It's America's oldest family-owned candy business. Now you're just making me jealous. So we're going to talk about the enduring appeal of their products. They've been selling candy for 165 years. And Rob Hatch, I think you know him from Owner Media, sent me a TikTok about a statement we'll show you later, but it's a statement at work that had you shook. And Brian Fretwell talked about it, and the end result was people get very little validation in their professional life and how important validation is to success. So we're going to talk with him about emotional intelligence, resilience, and of course, validation.
That's a pretty big full show. I don't know what we're going to do, but
Sweet,
but
sweet validation.
there you go. My mom and dad are here, so I have to point out that
Are you
for whatever
crinkling it
reason,
and you're not going to eat it? You
for whatever reason,
will
they
you
don't make
just
dad's root beer barrels.
wait? Hey, it like just refocused and you took it away. I want to fantasize.
Oh, you want to take? Hang on.
I
look,
did
everybody.
for yeah. Okay. Those
Dad's root beer
barrels are
barrels.
so good. Stop moving it. You're ruining the focus. All
It's
right.
like bad
I give up.
candy.
But I want it.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Elizabeth says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious for karaoke. That is ambitious, my friend. Respect.
That's quite the song to
and
get
Len
into.
is here. Oh, I love Len. He's my
Author
favorite
Len Joy.
award-winning sports fiction author, Len Joy. I still have his book right there on my shelf. Matches my shirt today, actually. Hello.
I myself am wearing my off-white shirt today.
Shut up. It is yellow. Your shirt is yellow.
That's
Hate to
what
be the one to tell you.
Coldplay said when I asked them to.
Did you want to thank a couple of our lovely sponsors before we talk about
Why are you going to be so good at this?
validation?
All right. We are sponsored. Our guests are like, I don't know why I said yes, but we did. We got sponsored. So let's see. Who do we want to start with today? Johnsonville, because Dora last time was like, where's your sausage sponsor?
I love
We
when
have,
people are like, wait, where's that ad?
we have one more Johnsonville Appreciation Day left, which means that Carrie has reached almost the bottom of her closet full of sausage. If you want her to mail you sausage, Carrie at chrisbrogan.com. You can get the nearly fresh sausage that's left at the
I
bottom of the
Instacart
closet.
you fresh sausage from a local business.
Why do you spoil my fantasies about how these things are fulfilled?
'Cause I
We're
want
also
people to
sponsored by
get sick.
PubSite. When Brian takes his incredible TikTok success and leverages it into another book, he'll be able to put it up on PubSite, pub-site.com. It is a place for authors, and it is so stupid easy. You click a couple clicks, you put a couple graphics up, and you are now an author website. You're so good at it. That's amazing. I've been told that this shirt is so
for
yellow.
authors. And it is yellow. Your shirt is yellow. I'm sorry.
I hate the fact that Amazon called it yellow
Well, because it's yellow.
when I ordered it. But I'm going to get Brandon because I would venture that his jacket.
The shirt is so yellow.
See, I'm telling you. Hey, Leslie.
It's yellow.
Is it yellow, Brandon? Is that?
It does look yellow, Chris.
Yeah, shit.
It does.
You make yellow candies. You make a
We
nice
sure
little lemon
do.
drop.
Lemon drops are awesome.
Good.
So
good.
FB Washburn has been around forever. One thing I learned, I keynoted the National Confectioners Association meeting a lot of years ago, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, and I was there with Tom Peters and I did it. And I was so in love with the fact that so many of those companies, there's over 400 candy companies or were, that are all family businesses. All family businesses. You're a family business as well. What generation are you in the company? Are you fourth
I'm the
generation?
fourth right now. Yeah.
So this is where most people give up, and you just say to your parents, "Sell it so I could buy my Lambo." But I mean, that was like they had a real panel about succession at the thing, saying this is a big problem. Why did you stick it out? This is, it's not an easy slog. I've watched videos on how it's made. It's not easy. Why are you there still?
It's definitely not easy, but I am personally someone, Chris, that loves a good challenge. And I bring, the whole background with marketing and sales and creativity. And it's fun. It's sweet. It's, just something different. And
It's sweet. See what he did there?
No pun intended.
Now, it's also tricky bringing ideas to parents who learn from their grandparents, who learn from the grandparents. And the great-grandpa would like hang out on top of a sugar bag in the shop because he didn't even have enough money for rent or anything like that. And now you're there like, Ma, we got to get on TikTok and Twitter. That's my Brockton. We got to get on TikTok and Twitter.
Right.
It can't be easy to drag them into modern marketing. But then I guess I have the question, how does one market candy? Everyone wants candy.
Everybody loves candy, right? And if you say that you don't, I question that. But yeah, I mean, social media is huge, and it's a platform that, mostly everybody's on these days. And the content, as you guys can imagine, that we're pushing out there, it's fun behind the scenes, how the lollipops are made and how the root beer barrels are made, and everybody loves that. So I created our brand new website last October. I started our Instagram page and a Facebook page shortly after that, and it's just taken right off. A lot of the old timers and the older folks love to see how things are made, and I'm a little biased, but again like the content that we're pushing out there, like it's just really, really fun stuff to see. And for example,
What are we mashing there? What is that supposed to be when we're done?
Those are going to be pink balls. So we make assorted sour balls in all sorts of flavors: clove, anise, ginger, coconut, and we're actually gearing up for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Even though it's quite a little bit down the road, we're going to be making pink lollipops. So, but yeah. So this is a prime example. How much has this
changed, Brandon? Like, how much is the process for making the candies you manufacture? How much has it changed over the years?
So, great question. It stayed the exact same. All of the machinery is from day one. So, as you can imagine, extremely old. The production process has not changed at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, where do you even get parts when something like that breaks down? You're like, call the Oompa Loompas? How does this work?
Pretty much, yeah. So we have some mechanics that are awesome at like what they do, and if they ever need a piece for any of these machines, they know just the right people to call for it. But that's our bagger right there. Those are actually bags that we donated. We donated over 2,000 pounds of candy last December to our frontline workers, and these bags that you see on the conveyor belt, those are going to hospitals.
Hospitals are probably like, maybe don't give people candy, Brandon.
We had a little pushback, but
they need to eat green Jello, like already self-respecting convalescent.
Yeah, no, but my dad and I, love to say that, during these sour times, we're looking to make things a bit more sweet for everybody. So
nice.
Nice.
Yes.
I love
that. So I have 8,000 questions, I'm sure. Look, a lollipop machine. This is where you jam the pop onto the stick or something.
Carol Alaloof was asking, how do we make lollipops? And now you know.
There you go. Yeah. We produce over 2 million lollipops a day during the busy season.
2 million a day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You're keeping dentists in business.
The dentists love us. Love us.
But,
yay, merch.
Oh yeah, there's merch for sure.
I love my merch from
get your hoodies and your sweaters and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Oh, I have to show these blobs. These look good too. These are cooking.
Yep, those are heating up right there.
heating up to be all smushed in the smushy machine that we've seen with the 2 bulldozers and the other thing.
Exactly.
I practically work here now. Okay. So one thing that people don't know, and I was alluding to this when I went to the confectioners doing National Confectioners thing, 400 or so different companies were represented there. The guy said, think about this by comparison. Go to the cereal aisle. There's like 5 companies. There's like these candy companies make the thing they make usually. So like the Bullseyes people, they make Bullseyes.
Right.
I'm presuming that Dad's Root Beer Barrel is kind of your big guy. That's sort of your Hugh Jackman, let's say. But what makes you decide you also need to make the ancillaries? Could you survive without the ancillary? Tell me a little bit about the business of deciding which ones you're making and not.
Yeah, I mean, the Dad's Root Beer Barrels, we've had a partnership, with them for years and years and years. So, like you said, we've been known, for the Dads for quite some time. But ever since the start, we've been making these striped cherry barrels, the assorted sour balls, and everybody knows us for those. And they're in a ton of stores and markets. And, we've just had a lot of success with both products. So we're still going strong with them. But, what we do is we can also customize. So I came on board, to, essentially look to build new partnerships with organizations that are hosting events where they might be giving away candy. And, we can customize these barrels, these pops, and the sour balls to the specific colors. And we work with like the banks. So for example, if you ever go into a TD Bank, those pops, those are ours.
Wow.
Yeah.
People want to watch the machines just work for hours and hours. Do you make anything really sour? Carol wants to know. She needs it like so sour that it makes you grimace, she says.
Great question, Carol. We just rolled out late last year the Pucker Suckers, which are super, super sour. They're not the kind that will just last, for like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm talking like 20 plus minutes. They're going to be very, very sour in your mouth.
You've been making that face for a while.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon, that brings another question up though, which is that, marketing changes a little bit here and there, and there's certain things that can change in marketing. And I think of like 10 years ago or so, you'd have had to put the word extreme in like neon colors on some of your bags. On the other hand, we also, if you look at Dad's, it's all nostalgia stuff. We want like that 1950s kind of gee whiz, everything's fine, the world is safe. Which one is the best way right now to market candy? And I have to imagine the answer changes.
It does change, Chris, 100%. So it will depend on, what store we're looking to get into, who we're speaking to. But 100%, when we rolled out these brand new packages for the Dads, it has that nostalgic feel, that vintage look to it too. So more so the older crowd, will see this and say, like, wow. But if, we're looking to speak to like a Wegmans or a Whole Foods, we're definitely going to tailor the packaging, for them. But our goal is to, reach everybody. So, that's what my goal is to figure out, how can we get very creative and stand out, from like everybody else.
Some companies do the sugar-free option. Some say, I'll just let someone else do it. Like, Brax and some of those big guys, they can afford to have a whole line of sugar-free.
Right.
I don't think you have that in the works. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, is it just a decision like we're just going to stay in our lane on this one, or what do you think?
Exactly. As you can imagine, when we're talking about sugar-free, the price does go up. The only item that we have for a sugar-free are these. So the Dad's Root Beer Barrels. Outside of that, unless it's a very large, massive order in bulk, we tend to stay away from the sugar-free aspect.
What's your favorite candy that your company makes?
Great question. The Dad's Root Beer Barrel is definitely up there. Carry the new Pucker Suckers because they're so sour.
Carol wants them, by the way. Where can she get them? She wants to know.
Carol, you can reach out to us on IG, on Facebook, off of our site, and I would be more than happy to send you some.
Bob was actually asking if you're direct to consumer or if you just sell to stores. And
we sell to everybody. Yeah. So
you can get them. Hooray.
100%. Yep. No, for sure.
Do you have anything that you'd really like to make that you don't currently, that you think you're adding?
I would love to roll out some sort of, like cool initiative incentive carry with like a golden ticket play off of like Willy Wonka. Just to drum up, some new brand awareness. I'm not trying to, make us look like Willy Wonka, by any means, but like, just something fun, that will grab a new sets of eyes out there. And to, just to pump some new life, just like that photo right there. Exactly.
Is there anything that you're like, why do we still make this? Why do people still eat this? But they do. No.
I mean, we've been making these candies, for over 100 years, like you guys said, and, everybody loves everything. We used to make the Waliko bar, which is comparable to the Almond Joy bar today. We were a sponsor for the Red Sox when we had that going. And everybody, always says, can you guys please bring the Waliko bar back? But again, as you can imagine, when you dive into chocolate, it's a whole different beast. Mm-hmm. So.
And cocoa prices are insane. There's this whole craziness going on in the chocolate world when it comes to those prices. Like we might see bars vanish in our lifetime.
Right.
Crazy to imagine.
Stop
Brandon.
talking like that. I'll have nothing left to live for.
It's in the news. It's in the news.
Not
Brandon,
listening to you.
One of the things I was thinking about is that a lot of times in companies, big and small, there's this weird world where they try to make it like there's nothing but your brand. Like, for instance, I did a little project with GM and they got mad that I talked to my friend who's a Ford Focus or a Ford Fiesta movement person or something. And it's like, those cars do exist in reality.
Yeah.
Like if you get caught with like a I don't know, licorice in your pocket, do you like have to get taken out behind the factory and beat a few times? Or like what happens? What
like
happens? Is it co-opetition or is it competition with the candy world?
I mean, there's, a friendly competition. Again, we're very biased where we think that our candy is the best and it's like the sweetest out there. But, we do realize that, we're more heavily focused on the hard candy aspect. We don't do like the Milky Ways, the Hershey brands and any of that stuff. So, but
I think that Kate's angling for some free candy, but do you use influencer marketing?
Great question, Kate. We haven't yet. Definitely open to it. Love new ideas. So if that's something that you wanted to explore with us, then we're definitely open to it.
Should check out Jason Falls. He's like the premier thinker on influence marketing.
His book launches today, Winfluence. So
all right,
we should
wrangle
a Winfluence copy. Plus, he lives in bourbon country, and I have a feeling like if you bombed a few
bourbon barrels,
bombed a few dads into a bourbon, I think we'd be all okay with it.
We've had a few clients actually do that, and they said that it tastes awesome. So I think we're all angling the free candy. Yeah, everybody wants free candy.
Yeah, you don't get pushed away for that.
Stop it. It's a family business.
You don't get pushed away for that. Brandon, I do have one last thought about that, which is that we've talked a couple times of sort of the negative things people would say and all that. But, it's a world where you're supposed to have everything in moderation, including moderation. So how do you work on that angle when people are, coming after you with, obesity's bad enough. Shouldn't you shut down and close your 150 plus year business?
Honestly, Chris, we haven't had any of that type of pushback. So I guess we're very fortunate. I mean, all of our clients, all of our vendors, they, realize that everybody loves candy. Everyone needs something sweet, especially, like during these times. We're just very fortunate.
I think hard candy, especially because you have to let it, you have to let it kind of dissolve in your mouth. It's not like you can just mow a whole thing of
Definitely don't chew it. Yeah.
Definitely
don't chew it.
Exactly.
Turns out I figured that out after the fifth one. So Brandon Gilson, we're so glad to have you on. Thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit about candy goodness. FB Washburn Candy's Instagram is ridiculously worth checking out. You could go way back and just,
you can watch those machines for hours.
Find your favorite colors, I mean, look at when they start rolling fruit barrels.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous. They open up the dad's molds and they put the fruit flavors in and they go nuts over there.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much for being on. Stick around. We got a little panel. We ask you some questions at the end. But, boop.
You always do that to people. You boop them before they're ready.
I like it when they're in the middle of a sentence.
He's a candy man. Be nice.
Who can take the sun? Who makes that song way too many times, right? Look, if you want to make a show like this, you can make it on StreamYard. cbrogan.me/StreamYard. You can make a show where you interview people and see if they'll send you candy samples.
It's the only reason to ask them.
It's the only reason to have a show like this.
So you can get candy. Will you quit it? You're so mean. I'm in Nashville, and so even though Brandon sent me candy also, it hasn't been able to get to me because our roads were so icy.
I really have a confession to make. I just did that to be cool, and I thought it'd be a really cool graphic of all the candies falling, but they're everywhere now. Like little depth charges.
Don't let the cat get them. They might be dangerous.
One good old Neo.
Shut up.
All right, 2 more sponsors will go. I make a podcast version of this available for people who don't need their eyes. Castos.com hosts it. So you can go to any podcast platform you want and type in The Backpack Show, and you'll find everyone
just
besides
pick up your
us.
root beer barrels later.
I can't. I'll roll over them. I'm going to die here. Here's what the worst thing is. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to be talking to Brian, and you're going to hear squeak. And then my OCD is going to go off. Like it'll be the end of the show. I'll just be looking down at the floor until I vanish. So
we'll know what happened.
All right. We also are hosted on .online. So you can go to thebackpackshow.online to check out this glorious show, or you can buy your own domain. Think about it. You can get Washburn online for 99 cents, basically.
FBWashburnCandy.online even. But they have the
They probably
.com.
do.
Yeah.
I know they have the .com. But they could do online for Brandon's new video show that he's going to make on
How about
streaming.
buy sour candies?
Get some damn candies online. So you can do .online. That's really good. Thank you for your sponsorship. You're all lovely people.
Boot before they're ready.
I love Kate's hashtags so much.
They're editorial. Like I like those types. The really
Only there
long
was a
ones.
business in hashtag invention. Wouldn't that be cool?
There probably is.
Let's drag in Brian Fretwell before he realizes what a terrible mistake he's made. We'll ask him what's going on. Hi, Brian.
Hey, how we doing? I'm at a loss now. I don't have candy to bring, so I feel like it's all downhill from here for us, right?
But you can make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah,
So
we'll get
there's
some dopamine and serotonin going. So yeah.
We do have a way that we do the backpack show where we actually very intentionally don't plan our guests' pairings or anything like that. So, you could be telling a story about a horrible truck driving accident in your childhood, and we'll have a guy who sells trucks for a living. We don't. It just happens. So sorry you had to follow Candyman, but
for Brandon, fourth generation.
generation Candyman.
Yeah.
So
This is our first guest found through TikTok, by the way.
yeah, I think we should maybe start there. I think maybe we should start with this little thing that, so inspired Carrie that we had to drag you into our world a little bit. But let me just set up a couple things so that I don't.
We brought a real adult on the show. Even though it's like,
So don't give me that label. Yeah.
can't claim that just yet. Okay, hang on.
Me a story that happened at work that still has you shook.
When the pandemic started, my job kind of shut down, so I started running an experiment. Now, prior to the pandemic, I'd spent 10 or more years consulting on culture, neuroscience, and engagement, but I'd always been curious about validation. Now, validation is simply being heard, seen, or recognized for something you contributed to, being able to see that in yourself or having other people do it for you. Now, for this very unscientific experiment, we ended up getting about 150 people, and they asked one simple question to the other person, and that is, what went well in the last week because of you? And what was shocking and heartbreaking was how many people couldn't answer or broke down during the answer because they had never been asked that kind of a question before, which means they likely went days, weeks, or months without even being recognized for what they contribute. And it's hard to comprehend the amount of loneliness that can be behind that. And 10 months later, my business is no longer about engagement. It's about validation.
Tell me a story that happened at work
So
that still
while I
has you
shut that off, that's a killer sentence. It's no longer about engagement.
Yeah, it's kind of it's just been a year-long discovery for me. Like when the pandemic happened, I've been consulting for neuroleadership and a few other neuroscience-based consulting companies doing leadership development, emotional intelligence, all from a neuroscience perspective. And the question of engagement is always there. But there's also something that I've experienced the last 10 years, and I've done these workshops in mining camps in the Arctic Circle, in oil and gas companies. I've done them in tech companies, just various places around the world. And one of the most common things I hear from people, we'll be running these workshops, and somebody will always come up to me and say, "Hey, Brian, I'm just a number here," and I can't. I mean, I get kind of worked up a bit when I talk about it, just because I've heard that so much. And so when the pandemic started, we just opened up it was a Zoom call that, it's something I kind of do with a group of friends, but in a different way. I have a group of 4 friends who we get on the phone once a week, and we can only talk for that hour about what went well the prior week. And we've been doing this off and on for 10 years. In the last 4 years, we don't hardly miss a week. So I just opened that idea up on Zoom to, just Facebook friends and LinkedIn, and 10 months later, over 150 people. We developed a bunch of different types of questions. We developed a structure. We figured, just the nerd part of me just dove way into the science behind what was happening here. Why are these conversations so engaging to people? But also, the other thing we noticed is it wasn't just the validation, but the other things I've been trying to teach for 10 years, like emotional intelligence, people skills, those were starting to increase in these people exponentially. I legitimately, I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot here sometimes, but because I've been a trainer and a speaker for so long, that the changes we look to make out there were just happening with people connecting on their own. And so anyway, that TikTok was just a little bit of, here's this discovery that we found that I think it's kind of a link between where training stops, because training is vitally important, but then preparation for the actual event begins. And so much of it is rooted by this core need for validation as human beings.
Brian, I've noticed a cat on Chris's desk.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Feline invasion. I repeat, we have a feline invasion. Chris, hold very still. Do not turn your head. For the love of Pete, don't turn your head. Oh, the humanity.
Believe me, I really want to talk about potential and
go by.
I want to talk about saying nice
cat.
things about ourselves.
The cat is after the candy. It has to be. No?
So no pressure, but Carol's been looking forward to this interview for days. So you're going to have to bring it. She says she was saddened by the TikTok and what your study showed, but as people, should we be trying to learn how to need less validation from others and find it within ourselves?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question, because this is the dichotomy that we create. Psychologically, and my wife is a therapist. She doesn't condone anything I say, but I should probably just say that out loud. There is this dichotomy. Yes, we should seek self-validation. But what happens, and we see this in leadership, we see this with our friends, is then we tend to use this as an excuse, directly or indirectly, to not validate others. And we are hardwired, we are biologically hardwired for connection. It is fundamental to human experience. And Vivek Murthy, who's the current Surgeon General right now, wrote a whole book. It's called Together. And he says that it would be better for you to be a 15 cigarette a day smoker than to suffer from loneliness. In his book, he outlines the fact that loneliness is the biggest health issue in this country, and that was before COVID, right? That book came out months before COVID even happened, and what I think we found over that year, or I think we're discovering. Eventually, we hope to bring smarter people than me to actually really dig into the science and track this, but that so many of the issues we have with being able to deliver emotional intelligence skills are because we don't have the basics ourselves. We're trying to put the gas mask or the oxygen mask on somebody else before we put it on ourselves. So they go hand in hand. And I just don't like to tell somebody they shouldn't rely on it. They shouldn't depend on it. But to say that we don't need it, I think is a falsehood. Yeah.
Bob is asking, how do you incorporate this into our culture more?
Oh, so questions, right? So we kind of in the beginning of January, so I'm 2 months into a startup now. So we've got a member program, and then we've got a program that we're bringing to companies that we've been really quiet about. We're doing the first public workshop on Wednesday, which we expected 15 people to go, and now with this TikTok, it's getting a little out of hand. But the simplest
all the
way,
lonely people.
the simplest way is just to start asking that question, right? So we have a couple. I saw you like swag, so we created some T-shirts even in the last couple of weeks that just say what went right, what went well because of you, and what's right with you. So it's not just questions, but it's questions that help people clarify, and we have an acronym for it: feelings, influence, resilience, ethics, and strengths. We call it FIRES, right? But it's a question that helps people see that. And the really neat thing about it is, in asking the question, the validation actually comes to the person that's asking the question, not just the person that's answering. Right? It's hard to explain, but we have a whole structure for that. Like, questions are these ways to connect to our what we call social brains in a way that you can't by telling somebody. You can tell somebody 10 times, good job, but if you ask them one time, what did you do well this week, and they get to say it, from a neurobiological perspective, you're like, it's better than candy. How about that? Like,
oh no, don't say that. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I just saw that Japan appointed a loneliness minister because the suicide rate in Japan is increasing, and there's like an epidemic of loneliness there.
And I think you see that here. It's just one of the statistics that Murthy points out is, if you have 10 people that are lonely, especially in this country, only 2 will actually say it out loud. Only 2 will actually admit to it. It's a sort of like, we're killing ourselves by thinking that we're supposed to do it ourselves. And that's just not how humans have evolved, right? Even if you take a study there's 3 people that have done a study, an anthropologists, and they talk about hunters and gatherers. With the average work week for a hunter and gatherer, that when they're actually producing, do you want to guess how many hours a week?
No.
Fair. It's actually only 15. It's only 15. And the rest is leisure time. But what neuroscientists like, I'm losing a couple names, I'll get into it. But the neuroscientists that are focused on the social brain right now will say that leisure time, that time around the fire, is what actually connected them, so that they could hunt better, so that they could survive. And they weren't sitting around saying, Bob, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. They were trying to find, hey, what information do you gather? What do you do well? So they knew, right, how to approach. And growing up in Idaho as a hunter, those are the conversations my dad and I had around the campfire as well. And I think that ability to be seen, we've kind of lost it to some degree.
Brian, you're an idea guy. And so I guess let's ask Carol's question. Carol's question is an important one. It'll match what I was going to ask anyway.
So the TikTok has it generated a lot of leads for you, because, marketers are kind of back and forth about TikTok and its value?
Yeah, for us, the one the TikTok that you just showed, again, we just did the first public webinar, and we've been getting emails and well, I mean, this podcast that we're on, right? But yeah, it's led a lot of people to my LinkedIn or to reach out to me directly. So in this case, yes. Now, I've only been on TikTok actively since November, when I had about 24 followers, and now I think I have 47,000. I don't know why they follow me personally, but I really enjoy doing videos, by the way, and I really like the platform, not just as a producer, but as a consumer. But I think there's a lot to figure out in terms of how to really use it as a good marketing platform. And for me, on all my social media, I've just been really specific about, I only do things that I think can help people. Like I'm not worried about arguing politics. I'm not worried about getting into the fray. My life is about understanding neuroscience, how people improve, how people change, and I try to stay, if you will, in my lane. Yeah. And I'm not worried about getting weird because half of those TikToks are me jumping into the cold water here in the middle of winter because it's anyway, yeah.
Because it's a good spectacle. That's why.
Yeah.
I was going to say you're an idea guy and have been for some time. I mean, you did your TED Talk in TEDx Boise, which is what a 15-year-old meth head could teach leadership or whatnot. And there you go. Taught me about leadership. So you've been at it for a little while. This one hit harder than those. This whole new idea that you're working with, Finding the Fires, has hit harder as an idea person. What does that mean for you? What's good about that feeling? And what do you think all of a sudden, oh crap, this one really hit. Now what? Like, where do you go with that in your head?
Yeah, I don't know that it really hit yet. I don't know if I would classify it. It's definitely connected with some folks, but there is
by a half dozen Teslas or anything, but suddenly you're on a different stage than you were at TEDx Boise. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a responsibility to it, and so for me, the idea is that and my business, but my whole professional life has been really about like how do we bridge some of these gaps that are endemic in our society. And like in juvenile corrections, we had the issue where we had kids that were fantastic, that had more self-awareness than most 40-year-olds. And then what we do is we toss them out into a system that doesn't support them. And you see the same thing in the field that I'm in. We train, there's fantastic content out there. And then you have to go back and practice with Bob from accounting that hates talking to you anyway, right? Or you just learn this new communication skill, and then you try to with your spouse, and 2 weeks later you're the same jerk you were 2 weeks ago. That's me speaking about myself. And so my question has been just really, how do we allow people to do the things they sort of want to do? And so I think when I see an uptick like this, it just reinforces the responsibility of doing it right, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yep. Chloe had a question. How do you break down the barriers so people are open to taking the first step? She imagines some are resistant to talking about it.
Oh, yeah. Get real comfortable with awkward silences. because what happens is, and why I get so passionate about questions is because we want to add value in the conversation. We want to help people. And what we do is just like verbally vomit all over them and oh yeah, you're helped, you're good. I told you what to do and how to do it and where to go. But it's just like the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, wah, wah. And so asking a question and being comfortable with the silence that follows it is understanding that person's processing it. And again, like I said on that TikTok, countless times where a simple question of what did you do well the last week? Right? Or what happened because of you, or what did you do that you were proud about, or what obstacle did you overcome? Or the one we really have fun with is, what did you fail on last week, and what was the benefit of that failure? The first time people are hit with those questions, it's quiet for a while. And that quiet, that silence is a little bit of fear, because the scariest thing for a human being to say out loud is something that they've done well, right? Something that they've influenced out, that's something that they care about, something that they love. Saying that out loud is one of the riskiest things you can do as a human being, right? That's why we don't say it. And that's why it's uncomfortable.
Not in marketing, Brian.
What's that?
Not in marketing. In marketing, they're like, look what I've created. It is amazing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So there's
all day. Every day.
And that reinforces for some people, like, oh, I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to be the sleazy car salesman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I always say, like, I'm going to be the ShamWow guy for a while, right? But when you ask people that have been in that lonely situation, like, and we've all been there, I think, but that they don't know because they haven't gotten, like, their brain. We learn intellectually, but we also learn emotionally, and emotional learning is really about like how we categorize, if you will, the experience. And if I've not gotten recognition, then I probably actually don't have a direct connection to what that is. And we've had so many people say, I don't know. And I don't know how to answer that. And it takes oftentimes weeks for them to be able to do it. And oftentimes the first time they do, it's pretty emotionally charged.
Deanna's saying your name is a good life lesson. Fretwell.
Sure. I've gotten that a lot more lately. Yeah, so fair. Growing up as a kid, there were other uses of fret more on the front end, but anyway. So it's been used in a positive way. It's helpful. Yeah.
Very useful finally. At last.
There you go.
You're like, haha. Now you're emailing all those guys from 6th grade.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There was a neuro researcher, Morissette, that asked the question, why are you so petrified of silence? And I think that's an important thing. A. Morrissey from Canada. I'm going to grab Brandon back out here because, we can't let this stand. He said this is better than candy, Brandon. I don't want to pick fights for you, but
You're gonna have a brawl, a backpack brawl. You're gonna throw hard candies at him.
Right.
Is there like a hard candy launcher? Because that would be good.
We may or may not have one at the factory.
Well, I feel like those root beer barrels would be great in a slingshot. Like they're just perfect for it, and they'd hurt like heck if you.
They are heavy. Yeah.
Right. Right. You got to pop them in your mouth first, though, so they'll stick.
Oh my!
Said as someone with experience.
I was just gonna say, you little candy Satan. That sounds like something that's been done before.
I did grow up in Massachusetts. I mean, I have a lifetime of experience with FB Washburn Candy Company candies.
Yeah.
So I've learned every way there is from my brother how to use them as weapons.
And every time I went to the bank to figure out what was wrong with me, little did I know I was washing away some of my sorrow with your lollipops.
There you go.
Why am I such a misfit? So one question for both of you is that there's a lot of having to pave your own way. There's a lot of having to find your own path. And the business of ideas is a very tricky business. The business of candy isn't tricky in some ways, but boy, there's a lot of things to try to steer that ship around. How do you stay truer to what is inside of you? I'll start with you, Brandon.
How do I stay true to
what's inside you? I know that this is right, even if I'm not always getting the validation I need to prove it.
Just believing in what we have to offer, and just what we put out there. I'm big on just being creative, and just always thinking of new ways that we can grow our brand and get in front of the new generation. Like the older crowds know us because we've been around forever, but I'm trying to get us into all of the new cool spots. So
there's this Fretwell guy that might tell you that TikTok's not so bad. I don't know. Do you have any TikTok advice for Brandon, Brian?
Well, I think you could have loads and loads of content from Candy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a marketing person. You just watch them a few times, and I'm sure you'll come up with some pretty awesome ways to engage people. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And the original equipment. I mean, I could just watch that all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching that still work because they don't build stuff like they used to, Brandon.
No, they don't.
Do they have names besides their technical names? I have to imagine that bulldozer guy is named Pete or something.
Name machines like Big Bertha or something.
I'm sure some of the staff have named it because they've been working there for 25 plus years now. But
yeah, well, and you could run a whole series of if you're on a diet, other things you can do with our candy and slingshotting people with stacking.
It's a great little marketing. I love it.
But I grew up.
Whole other channels of sales.
You are so right. Like a whole other business category. Yeah, totally. You could expand it. You could grow the pie, if you will. Yeah, but having grown up eating the candy, I don't think that I ever thought, I really want some FB Washburn Candy Company candy. But I would take some root beer barrels. I knew exactly what those were. Mm-hmm. So how have you managed to get name recognition out there? Is that even important?
It definitely is. I mean, having the dad's logo on everything, definitely helps. It's a very well-known brand, and so we're definitely very fortunate to have that. But social media, has been huge. Just alone, since I started the new website, the IG, and the Facebook, we have over 500 new followers. Companies are finding us online. We were featured in the news 2 weeks ago. Channel 5 did a very, very cool feature on us. But yeah, brand recognition is huge for us.
The whole idea of workouts and practice are not so commonly used in neuro work, Brian. So workouts and practice is something you're grafting onto this space. How are people receiving that? What's the immediate kind of mindset that comes back?
It's one of these like once they try it, then they get it. So we have that like quintessential problem, right? Like I can tell you about it, but once you do it, but some of the metaphors, like for instance, we're starting to understand. I think the general population is starting to understand the brain works a bit like a muscle. It's obviously water and fat and electrical reactions, but what I tell people is like I personally have run a 100-mile ultra marathon, right, about 8 years ago, but if you ask me to go and run 25 miles tomorrow, I would just understand that like if I do it, I'm going to be in bed for like a week because I am just not physically fit enough. Well, the same works with our what we call emotional fitness. You might have all the skills to be able to show empathy and compassion, to hold your cool in an emotionally charged situation, but if you're not practicing, and that's where it gets not role play, and that's where we get these simple questions can engage that, then your brain's more prepared. But the other piece is like getting that validation is, I can't, if I go running tomorrow and I don't sleep tonight, I don't drink any water, and I get, bombed with a couple of beers that I drop some of those root beer things in, like, I'm not going to, see, we're doing some more marketing for Brandon here, but I'm not going to be prepared to do that. And the same is with your emotional fitness. Like there's a practice, but also your own health. Are you being seen? Are you being heard? Are you in a place that that you're being recognized for what you're doing? And if you're not, like change some stuff, right? Or create it around you. And that's essentially what we're trying to do, is create questions and avenues so people can do it with the people around them, right?
Oh my gosh. Weaponizing candy, mixing it with alcohol. Brandon's like, you're not affiliated with me.
You guys aren't part of us. So I have a thought. Another way you could use your TikToks, of course, would be something maybe like where you could copy the success of the Ryan Gosling won't eat cereal.
Oh, stop it.
He just doesn't like cereal. I mean, I don't know what it is about him. See, look at that face he's making. He does not want that cereal. So you could really do your variation of that. I think there's an opportunity.
No, don't use it for marketing.
But instead, do it like
nut.
you're cheery. I think, Brandon could do a TikTok.
As an attorney, I
series.
cannot advise you to use celebrity images without consent in your marketing.
They love delicious candy. That's what I'm going to say.
That's true. If you want to.
Hey, I just found this over here. I think we should do something with it.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I'm going to go with, I'm just looking for a message to go with it.
You're so capricious.
I am.
Who will it be today?
Deanna. She was speaking French earlier. She's been talking about how attractive our guests are, So I have to go
Brandon.
with Deanna. Thank you.
He did not do this show to encounter thirsty people.
Well, maybe that's because Brandon's eye candy.
Oof.
Touche. Well done.
What can people do with this? All right, we have one question we ask every single guest on this show, which is what goes in your backpack. You cannot answer candy, by the way. It could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical.
Brian can answer candy.
A good sub-answer could be rum, though, because little did I know that the candy industry and the rum industry, because they both use sugar, they're pals.
Yeah.
So you go to a candy event, you get a lot of rum. So it could be something physical, could be something metaphorical. So the question is, do you want to put something like an avocado or something like hope? And I'm going to start with Brian Fretwell this time. Brian, what's going in your backpack?
Yeah, might sound a little weird, but like the idea of death. I was on a plane one time and I had a full-on panic attack because we were in nasty turbulence. And I like really processed when I got off, what was the root of that? Like, why was I afraid of this plane crashing? And it was because at the time I wasn't doing something that I felt was useful, if you will. I've had like 2 real jobs in my life, and in this, I was doing that, and so I try to remind myself of that situation to kind of communicate what I'm doing on a daily basis.
I'm into it. My gosh. The idea of death. Well, Brandon, I don't know what you're going to do to beat that one.
I don't know how to follow up with that one, Brian.
Well, I had to follow candy, so here you go. I
know. Well, the obvious is my backpack is stocked with all different types of candies, but in a more deeper response, just a willingness to, try new things and, to be open to new ideas, because As you both said, like family business, fourth generation. I've been, pitching my father on, these really cool new ideas. And at times, I have to, show him like a whole new world that's out there. Just get very, very creative. We're looking to take, like that next level. And I have that, background with marketing and sales and customer service and, cool new fun ideas. So
those worlds though can be shining and shimmering and splendid. So
Yeah.
I think it's,
Stop it.
a
Song
lot of
lyrics in every
opportunity.
show.
well, I
Every
snuck by Alanis
single
Morissette and no one bit me on that one.
Well, one is all you get.
Why are you so petrified of silence? It's Alanis. See?
He did not
All right.
deserve that candy you sent. I'm just gonna say.
I deserved it, and I'm gonna eat it. And I have 2 3/4 hours until I'm gonna leave the root beer till last. I'm gonna eat the 3 old lady candies.
Kate's
first.
already pressuring you,
nice. There you go.
and
Get
she
on
wants
the,
to know where to find you so she can get some candy.
and,
Because
and
the
to help you find a
website-
5th generation. You can go to the Instagram is what Brandon said earlier. Go to the Washburn Instagram is probably the best way to get in touch. Send a little message through.
Get some.
Yeah, Carol, earlier when I mentioned that A. Morissette, the Canadian neuroscientist, said, "Why are you so petrified of silence?" That was your clue. So
Oh, Bob, that's a deep cut.
Brian just caught me here.
I was like, I have never heard of this individual.
Well, you know what gave me the idea to do that to you is you said I'm kind of forgetting the name here, and I was like, I know where I'm going.
Well, and I think I was like masked by my own insecurity. Like, what? Like, how do you not know this? Like,
Okay, look what you
Yes!
did to Brian.
Stir the
Teaching
bees.
him.
yeah, I love it.
This is a candy-related story about my grandmother. Unlike every other grandmother the world has ever produced, my grandmother did not like Canada Mints. My grandmother did not have those little pink Pepto-Bismols in a bowl. But instead, she did keep candy around. I'll tell you the one she liked the most.